Alright, so I'm going to move this reference image photo out of the way so you can see the whole image, and I'll zoom in, zoom out, show you various things. So here's where the image is right now, and I would say I'm probably 75% done with the image. So I am showing you work in progress, but I thought it'd be a good time to pause and kind of go over some of the things I'm doing before I finish. That way you can actually see some of my, what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So, from far away, they're definitely pleasing things I like that's going on, good value and contrast. This tree on the far right in particular, if I scoot it over, as you can see, this tree here, I want to warm it up a bit, but I actually think instead of going back and repainting it, I'll probably go back, do a lasso selection, and add a little bit more yellow. I'm looking out my window right now, and I can see that the leaves are not that vibrant green; they're more of like a yellow green. So that's something that I'll adjust at the end of the painting. I still need to finish the branches and various things on the far left tree. Starting to block in, paint dabs, I call them, that start to represent the local colors, and I'll start to push and pull and bring to the foreground branches and other details, and kind of push some of them to the background, working on that, the depth illusion. And on the treetops, I'm going in right now and I'm blending some of the brush strokes. I'm playing into that, that stark white, contrasty, overcast sky against these thin, translucent branches. And that's been a challenge because it's a lot of push and pull and a lot of I paint it in almost solid, and then I go back in with like a blending marker with white, and I kind of paint over top of it to push that back and away from us. So you can actually see an area right here that I am in the process of working on right now that I haven't touched. So I will be going in and knocking those values back and desaturating it. Some of the other areas, I've started to do. In addition, I'm also doing almost like an airbrushy sort of, but using the blending marker. I'm going in and painting little holes and translucency inside the solid areas that represent the light and that value and that bright sky coming through the leaves. And then over here, this is my first pass at it, is I go in not even thinking about any sort of paint thickness or any of the intricate details, and I just kind of lay down value. I'm color picking from the swatches, I'm laying down value, I'm definitely paying attention to form. I got the tree shapes pretty well indicated. I just need to start making it to the same level of quality and style and tonality that the rest of the image has. And as you can see, I'm starting to do that here as well. A lot of these square brush strokes that you're seeing are most likely, or those are due to me using a palette knife. So you get that sort of like that it follows the shape of the brush. So a couple things I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to drag that layer all the way to the top, and I'm just going to use what I'm working on right now. So I'm actually going to pick a bright red so we can clearly see what I'm talking about in what areas. So I'm working on a Wacom Cintiq 21-inch screen with pressure sensitivity. So yeah, so these are some of those brush strokes. Let me make that value 100% that I'm talking about right here. So, or the style of brush shapes, I'm sorry. So you can see that they're square. That that has become a style choice of mine as well. I think if you look at a bunch of my work, I'm not afraid to leave brush strokes that will have that type of edge on them. To me, that it shows the shape of the brush I was using. This is the area I just left off here where I'm starting to go in and blend, but again, I'm going to furthermore go in, pull out branch shapes, push and pull areas, blend them in, find that right balance of contrast and showing leaves versus showing branches, but yet being able to see through to the background trees behind it. And then this area all here I haven't even touched yet. All I'm doing now is my eyes are going from my computer to out my window, and I'm real loosely just indicating brush shapes that I see and where they're at, and major forms that are happening against that dark background. And now go in next and start to add on top of that with leaves and stuff. Here's an area that one of the techniques I'll show that I kind of do as well is I start very flat without any sort of depth or thickness to the paint, and then on top of that I layer it with actual thicker brush strokes, so you can actually see in these areas right here indication of the canvas and the brush shape. And what I'll do then finally is I'll go back in on another layer and I will blend in some of those brush strokes where you're not just seeing gloopy paint, and I'll leave some of it show through while pushing others back. Obviously in this image here, and if I zoom back a little, it's really important to show that this tree here is in the foreground and this tree here is behind it. And this tree here is in the foreground and that tree's behind it. And a lot of that can be done with value. So you can see here where I'm going in and I'm filling in the values and I'm thinking about how to make this tree here pop out in front of the tree behind it. And the same thing here. This is just art lesson 101 about value and form and what will happen, and what you need to do to make forms read and pop. And obviously the closer things are to the camera, the more contrast you're going to have, and the farther objects get as they recede into the distant background, you'll start to have atmospheric haze and desaturation of color and value. So things will start going towards more of a blue tint, or depending on the color of the sky and the time of day. In this particular case, you can see that these trees are losing saturation, and I'm sort of like brushing in that white on top of it to further help that out. So, and then again, down near the base of where the ground is, and in this particular case, it's real thick in the forest here. You're seeing behind a couple pine trees and evergreens and different types. So this is where a lot of the darkest parts of the image are happening, down in here. And again, I still need to go in and fill out my brush strokes and stuff. But it's been fun because I'm not even sure what type of tree this is. I'm going to look it up, but it's got these really cool hangy sort of foliage that all kind of like point down, and they have droopiness to them, and these big light catching leaf areas, and then these dark areas that sit back inside the tree. And that's been fun to come in and indicate. And I really enjoy looking at this particular tree every day. As I zoom in, one last thing on this portion of the talking about what I'm doing here, I'd say this is an area right here that is starting to get more successful. I like the contrast and the value and the colors and things going on. I need to continue that same sort of thing to the other parts of the tree and continue from there. So I've got a little bit of ways to go. As I said before, this area I just started. I'll show you how I knock that back and integrate it. So that's where I'm at right now, and we'll pick up on the next part about some of the tools and brushes I'm using.